All right, so with multiplying and dividing integers, slightly different rules from when we were adding and subtracting. If we have a positive times a positive or a positive divided by a positive, so you could write a positive times a positive or a positive divided by a positive. That's what you learned when you first learned math before you ever knew what a negative number was. Those are always going to give you positive answers. So that result is always positive. Okay, I'm going to skip over to the third column because they kind of go together. And if I have a negative times a negative, or a negative divided by a negative, that is also going to give me a positive. So a simple way to think about it is, if the signs are the same, two positives or two negatives, you're going to get a positive answer. So the only time we get a negative answer is when you have one of each. So if we have a positive times a negative, or the order doesn't matter, it can be a negative times a positive, that will give us a negative answer. Or a positive divided by negative, that will give us a negative answer. Okay, when it comes to where there's more than two terms, you can just count the number of negatives to figure out what the sign is going to be. So like if I have positive times a negative times a negative times a positive times a negative times a positive, if I just count up the number of negatives, there's 1, 2, 3. If there's an odd number of negative signs, it's going to be a negative answer. Because you got to remember, for every two negatives, those become a positive. So like these two would cancel each other out to become positive, and all we'd have left is that negative. So if there was 4 negatives, 6 negatives, 8 negatives, an even number of negatives, then you'd have a positive answer. So that's one quick way you can always check your signs. Count the number of negatives. Okay, so if you move down here, usually mistakes get made when people start going fast and they kind of think of it all together. If you break it down into parts, you're less likely to make a mistake. So if we pick sign first and then do the actual operation they're telling us to do, it makes it a little easier to get correct. So first one, we got a negative times a positive. So is that going to give us a positive or a negative answer? Negative, yeah. And then you can worry about the 2 times 8 now and get 16. So we're kind of breaking it into what's the sign, then we're multiplying or dividing. Next one, negative times a negative. So I can give us positive or a negative answer? Positive. So then 9 times 4, 36. Third one, we got a negative divided by a positive. So negative, yeah. And then 4 divided by 2 gives us 2. So we end up with negative 2. Second row, positive times a negative. Negative, yeah. And then 6 times 4, 24. Next one, we have a negative and a negative. Negative divided by a negative. Positive, all right. Now the trick to this one is, people tend to say it's 3. 18 divided by 6 would be 3. 6 divided by 18 is going to give us a fraction. So if we simplify that fraction, how many times does 6 go into 6? Once. And how many times does 6 go into 18? 3. So it becomes 1 over 3. Another way you can think about that is, if you know 18 divided by 6 is 3, 6 divided by 18, just flip it over. It becomes 1 over 3. Okay, third one on that row. Positive and a negative. Negative, yep. And 12 divided by 6, 2. Good. Last row here. Positive times a negative. Negative. 9 times 3. 27, right. This is really the same thing, isn't it? Just we put the negative on a different number. This was 9 times negative 3. Here we got 3 times negative 9. So we should still get negative 27. And then the last one here, we got a negative divided by a negative. Positive, right. So 8 divided by 2 gives you 4. All right, so we got the hang of that. So all I want you to do in the back side before we move on to the next page, do the left side, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Do those 5 problems, we'll check those, and then we'll move on to order of operations. All right, first one there. See if I know some names now. Jacob, what'd you get on 1? Okay, somebody help him out then. What's 1 gonna be? Is it positive or negative? Negative, and 9 times 10? Okay. Ali, what'd you get on 3?
Negative 77.
Okay, we agree with that. Let's see. Sebastian, what'd you get on 5? Good. Sam, what'd you get on 7?
11.
Good. 2 negatives. Gave us a positive answer. And Jack, what'd you get on 9? Good. All right. We got any questions with the rules of multiplying and dividing? Okay, then grab that other page. We're going to look at order of operations. All right, up at the top is just kind of a amusing way to think about why we have an order of operations. You really have an order of operations in everything you do. You just don't realize you do it. Like, for instance, would it make any sense to put your shoes on before you take a shower in the morning? No, right? It's just the order of operations of things you do in life, right? Well, that's why we have an order of operations in math. If we didn't, math would not make sense because everyone would get different answers to the same problems. So like it says down here, why you can do these in almost any order, only a few seem to make sense. The rest would just be an awful start to your day. So algebra has a specific order to it called the order of operations. And that blank is a little small, so I'd maybe write it above it there. And I'm assuming this is something we probably all heard before, right? PEMDAS? Yep, or you might have heard, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. P stands for parentheses or any other grouping symbols. It could be brackets. You always start from the inside out. So if you have parentheses within parentheses, you start in the middle. Exponents, and then multiplying and dividing. Multiplying does not have to come before dividing. You just go left to right. Whichever you see first, you do. And then addition and subtraction. Same thing, go left to right. Addition does not have to come before subtraction. Okay, so if we didn't all follow those rules, we would all get different answers. So if you move over to the top of the right side, that first problem there, do we see any parentheses? No. So we move on to exponents. Do we see exponents? Yeah. So 3 squared, what does 3 squared give us? 9, yeah. So I'm going to write out each step. For today, that's what I want us to do. So that becomes 27 divided by 9 times 2 minus 3. So now we move on to multiplying and dividing. You go left to right. So if I start on the left, here's dividing. So we'll go ahead and do that. 27 divided by 9. Good, gives us 3. So we still have some multiplying left. 3 times 2. We get 6. And then last, 6 minus 3. And you should end up with 3. So for today, and for your homework, I want you to go through those steps. But just know, you want to check them on the calculator, you can, because calculator obviously knows order of operations. If I just go back to that original problem and type that in, it's going to do order of operations correctly and give me the answer. Okay, so you can always check it like that. Okay, second one, no parentheses again, right? Got exponents. So what is 4 squared? Good, 16. And so all we have left is 20 minus 16, and we get 4. Next row down there, no parentheses again. Got exponents, just like we did up here, 3 squared. So 3 times 3 gives us 9. So now we have multiplying and adding. What happens first? Multiplying. Yep. So 2 times 9, 18, and we got 18 plus 4, and get 22. Perfect. Next one, over to the right there. So no parentheses again, exponents. What is 2 to the third power? 2 times 2 times 2. Not 6. 8, there we go. Remember, exponents, don't think of it as 2 times 3. It's 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. So now we have division and adding left. Division comes first, so 32 divided by 8 gives us 4, and then 4 plus 6, and we end up with 10. Okay, next row, do we have parentheses? Yeah, first time we've had parentheses now. So that has to happen first. So on the inside there, what is 13 minus 6? 7. So now we have 7 times 7 plus 2 to the third. Okay, what would come next now? Exponents, yeah. So 2 to the third, just like we had up here, that's going to become 8. So left we have multiplying and adding, so you're going to multiply. So 7 times 7, which gives 49 plus 8, and then last add those together. What does that give you? 57, yep. Okay, over to the right. We got parentheses again. So on the inside, 3 plus 9. What is that going to give us? 12, right? Okay, and then exponents, what is 4 squared? 16, and then last, 16 times 12. 196, you said? What's that? 192. Okay. All right, last row. Got parentheses again. So within the parentheses, you still got to follow order of operations. It's like inside of parentheses is a brand new problem. So we got exponents to do in there, because you can't subtract until you take care of those exponents. So 3 squared is 9. Now you can subtract on the inside. What does 8 minus 9 give us? Negative 1. So we have 3 times negative 1, and we get negative 3. All right, and the last one there on this side. Sometimes you seem like what you're doing is not quite following the rules, but it still is. Okay, we have parentheses here, and order of operations would tell us we need to divide before we add. But can I divide that unless I go ahead and add this? No, you can't do it. So we got to go ahead and add that together so we can divide by the 4. So 9 plus 3 gives us 12. Now you can do the division. And what's 12 divided by 4? 3. Now we have exponents. What's 1 to any power? 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. Doesn't matter how many we go, we're going to get 1, right? So left we have multiplying and subtraction. So you would multiply first. So 2 times 3. And then we're left with 6 minus 1, which is going to give us 5. Any questions there? All right, so for these, we'll do these and then check them, and then we'll get to the homework. Do the odds. This easy stuff in the beginning, I like to kind of shorten it a little bit. So do the odds. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. 6 problems, and then we'll check those, and then we'll get to the homework.